Hi. Hello. Hi. Hey, you. There you are. Hey, good afternoon or good morning or whenever you're watching this video. My name is Alex and I'm one of the two co-founders of Apolix. One of the two? Has someone seen my other co-founder, Joost? Joost.
Hey, I'm Joost. I'm the other co-founder of Apolix.
And welcome to the party. Hey, welcome to the Celonis World Tour 2021. We are the co-founders of Apolix, a consultancy agency in Rotterdam specialized in process mining. Cool, right?
It is very fucking cool.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us today. It's a big honor to have you all over here. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit about what we're going to show you in this video. First of all, today, this is a pre-recorded video. However, we are also going to have two live sessions today. You can find details on this page over here in our booth as well. So please come check it out. You can also ask live questions and we'll definitely have experts ready the whole day throughout this world tour.
Yeah, we're happy to help you at any moment, so don't hesitate.
Yes, exactly. First of all, what we like to do or what we love to do is being transparent with our customers, not by making their process just transparent, but making sure that our customers understand what we do, how we do, and why we do it. And that's also where we want to focus on in this video. And it also makes us a little bit special compared to other consultancy agencies, you know, because if you cannot explain it to a 4-year-old, do you really understand what you're doing? So we want to make sure that in this video, everyone understands what we're doing, how we're doing it, and why we're doing it. And in this video, we're going to focus on the basic principles of process mining, but it's also a little bit more than that, because we're going to go from process mining to the insights, to the root causes, but also how you can take actions on those insights to immediately create value for your organization. So, before we get started, maybe you guys want to know a little bit more about Apolix, who we are and what we do. So it's pretty evident that we are the two co-founders of Apolix, and we actually started about 2 years ago in like our student bedrooms, but currently we're employing a full-time team of 12 employees, and we're still growing. So if you're looking for a new job, feel free to check out our vacancies as well. You can use marketing plug-in over there. We built the company basically on 3 core values. First of all, it was the transparency part, what we just mentioned. Data could be quite complicated, however, it doesn't need to be complicated. So we try to explain everything as easy and simple as possible, that even our parents can understand what we're doing it and why we're doing it. So also if you have any questions, please send us a message or an email. Second of all, we are data driven, which means that we built a whole organization around data. You might have heard it a lot of times already, but data really is the new gold and you can do so much with it. And it also brings us to the third pillar, which is value. Because you can do so much with data, it's also really easy to overanalyze everything without turning this data into value for your organization. And at Apolix, we really always focus on turning your data into something valuable for your organization. And that's what we are doing on a daily basis for our customers. Moreover, we were also nominated as one of the 25 most promising startups in 2021 in the Netherlands. At least for people under 25 years old, but don't tell that to the rest because it's still a cool title to hold. Let's get started.
Yep. So before we dive into actual demo where we're going to show Celonis from basically process mining to actually actions with the EMS, I first really want to dive into what process mining is actually all about, so that everyone here conceptually understands what we're doing. And you have to realize with process mining that we are optimizing business processes with data. And the data we're talking about, we call digital breadcrumbs. Every time you work in an IT system, and let's take a purchase to pay process for as an example. And for example, you order something at a vendor. You receive an invoice, you receive the goods, and you pay the invoice. Each and every time one of those steps is registered in your system by either an employee or a bot, a digital breadcrumb is created. And this digital breadcrumb consists of 3 parts. First of all, it tells us for which order this activity took place, what the activity was, and when this activity took place. What's the great thing about this is that we can actually connect those digital breadcrumbs throughout your IT system or IT systems. Based on this connection, we can recreate the actual path that your process went through. And we can not only do that with one of your cases, but we can actually do with all the cases that has ever flown through your IT systems. And this allows us to create a full transparent overview what actually happened in your IT system and thus in reality.
An easy comparison to make over here is, for example, with those brown paper sessions, which you have probably done in your life at one point. You bring together a lot of your colleagues and you bring in a lot of very expensive consultants and you sit together days and weeks at a time trying to map out the process with post-its all over the wall to only figure out a small fraction of the process. Due to the fact we're working with data, we get a complete overview, so every single variant within your process, and not just the most common one. And on top of that, it's also based on data, which makes it very objective. Even though we like to be as objective as possible in those type of workshops, there's always still a subjectivity which could make it better than it actually is in real life. And also time to value, because we're working with data, we can get really quick to already value for our customers. And moreover, once we set up the connection, we can just keep reloading in the data on a daily basis to also measure how improvement projects were going and how successful they were.
Yeah, and this also forms the basis of actually taking actions within your process. Because we're always working with the up-to-date data, we can actually do some exception handling and make sure your process flows as it should flow throughout your organization.
Ready to go to the demo?
I think so.
Whoop.
So, let's get into the purchase-to-pay process. First of all, what is a purchase-to-pay process? Let's say Alex works as an organization and sadly enough, his laptop broke down. Well, the first thing he needs to do to get a new laptop is request it at the purchasing department. After his manager approves, the purchasing department can actually order the laptop at the vendor. And after a couple of days, the laptop is being received by the organization. Of course, they also get an invoice, and that invoice is being paid in time. That is basically the end of a purchase-to-pay process. What you already saw on the screen is basically all those digital breadcrumbs that we have collected throughout the entire process. So each of these digital breadcrumbs are represented at a certain moment in time, allowing us to see the days in between every step. What we see right now is only the first out of 655 different variants of the process. So different methods to go from A to Z. That only covers 38% of all our cases. So only 38% of all the orders, like Alex's laptop, went through this easy to go, happy path. If we take a look at all the different methods the process could flow, so take a look at all the full data set which we have in our system, we see something different happening. We see actually what is happening in reality. And reality literally looks like this.
So, remember when we were talking about those brown paper sessions with a lot of consultants and only getting a fraction of the process, how it actually goes? Well, here we can see the full process, how it actually goes in reality. And that's only possible in such a short time to portray through process mining. And that's because we're working on data in this case, which is very valuable and very objective to see what's actually going on.
Yeah, and based on these insights, you can actually imagine that there is a lot of complexity within the organization, and it makes sense that not everybody knows what is happening. In a project, we always aim to create this full transparency and then start getting insights for the most important points. So what gives the most impact on our process? We can do that by focusing on the first, let's say, 75% of the cases. So the majority of all our orders. We basically see the same path as we saw before. However, we have a couple extra lines and a couple extra digital breadcrumbs. What's very interesting is this line what we see here. This is a dotted line going towards the recording of an invoice. Afterwards, 2 days later, it's being registered by the purchasing department as an order. And what does that mean? It basically means that Alex ordered his laptop by himself without informing the purchasing department, and then later on sent the invoice to the purchasing department in order to get the costs covered. And this is something we call maverick buying. It basically means that we do not have control over our own purchases.
So for example, instead of getting a good quality laptop which everyone uses within the organizations, which is up to its standards, I just ordered a really shitty but very expensive laptop at an online web store, for example. We could have contracts with other suppliers so we can get good discounts. But you also, you want to make sure that you stay on good terms with those suppliers if you have those agreements with it. But bottom line, it will also just cost you a lot of money due to those contractual discounts if you order certain quantities.
Yeah, and with process mining, it's very easy to actually find this, find maverick buying, because we're looking at the order of the process steps, and by just visualizing in such a way, we immediately know how often this happens and also for which products this happens. A second very interesting activity that we see within this process is the activity change price. What you have to imagine, change price basically means that we send out an order, for example for Alex laptop, and we already expect a certain price, let's say €1,000. However, the laptop is not €1,000 but 1,100 euros, meaning that we need to change the value of our order in our IT system so that we can have a three-way match later on, basically meaning that we do not need that much manual work later on in the process by approving the laptop. If it happens a couple of times, it's not really a problem. However, if it happens 145,000 times within the last year, this means that there's actually a lot of manual work going on. Because you need to probably call the vendor, ask what's going on, get approval on the new price, and then actually change it in your system. It's easily taking 10 to 20 minutes already. And if you have to do that in 14% of your orders, you can see the problem in this process.
So that's also one of the beauties of process mining, because you can exactly see what's happening and how often it's happening. It's also easy to prioritize inefficiencies within your process. So instead of focusing on only a couple hundreds of cases, you want to focus on the inefficiencies which have a huge impact onto your process. And you can also really easily make a business case, because if you multiply the amount of time worked on this process step by how often it happens, you can really easily determine how expensive it is to have this inefficiency in your process, and therefore also driving change within your organization, because with those hard numbers, facts, like you can really drive a change within your organization and also convince management about how to become better.
Yeah, and right now we got a great insight. However, we do not know why this happened and where this happens. And that brings a great value towards process mining with Celonis. We can add contextual data to this analysis. Basically meaning that we're allowed to see when orders happened, but also where we ordered our products and what products we actually ordered themselves. So right here we see actually a list of vendors with how much orders we sent to them and what the value is of these orders. If we're going to take a look at the activity change price again, we can filter on all the cases that went through this activity. What you see right now is the whole dashboard actually changing, and we immediately see the vendor where we have the most orders with a change price, Umbrella Corporation. Before we take any conclusions, we first need to see how many orders we actually did at Umbrella Corporation and see if there's actually also an issue with them. So we start filtering a bit deeper. And now filter on all orders which went to a change price activity for Umbrella Corporation. So those are 50,000 orders. And if we then get rid of the other filter, we see that out of the 72,000 orders we placed at Umbrella Corporation, 50,000 of them needed a change of price. Basically meaning there is a huge issue within our process and we have something to actually improve. What often could be the case is that the price list that Umbrella Corporations uses changes regularly and we do not have the updated ones on a day-to-day basis. And this could be a conversation to start with Umbrella Corporation to prevent these manual steps from happening throughout the year.
So in the beginning, we just showed you how your whole process becomes transparent, so you can exactly see what's happening and how often it's happening and therefore also its impact. But by adding contextual data, you can also really drill down into, like, for example, root causes in this case, or find specific suppliers or time regions or departments where this happens a lot. But that's not even everything. So the moment when you started with your new ERP or IT system, you had some sort of process design. A process design which was supposed to be followed and how the process had to flow within your new IT system. However, in reality, we often see that what's happening in reality is differentiating from what's actually happened or how the process was designed. And that's where the conformance checker comes in.
Yeah, and in the conformance checker, we can actually upload one of those process maps Alex just talked about, or you just mine it from the data from the different variants of the process you already have. What Celonis then does is actually check each individual case along this designed process map and tells us whether it went alongside the map or that there was a violation. So over time, over the last year, we see that only 56% of our cases actually followed the process path as we've designed it within the organization. And there are 16 different violations the cases went through compared to that process path. And the violation could be an undesired activity or could be an order of activities that is not allowed. Better even, we can see that list with all these violations right here, where we also see change price again. Diving into change price, we can see how often it happened, when it happened, but also the impact of it. So on average, a case, so basically Alex ordering his laptop up until the moment he gets his laptop, takes about 9 days extra. Just realize the business impact of this. Alex has to wait 9 days extra for his laptop to get started with work again. Basically meaning that the impact on the business is real if you have such a delaying factor in your process. So we know that change price really is an issue. Celonis now can help us find root causes. We already found one by analyzing ourselves, but we can let Celonis do the job for us by comparing all the contextual data with this violation. And what we see immediately here is again Umbrella Corporation. Umbrella Corporation is definitely one of the main causations of our price changes. But we talked about it already earlier. We already want to reach out to them and maybe check out whether we can get a new price list every day, for example. However, we want to take this a step further. We really want to take actions based on the insights we have. Based on this analysis, we determined that vendors could be one of the issues with their price lists of the activity change price. So what if we, instead of only find the main causation, we actually look at all our vendors which we are doing business with and check out when we have more than 30 price changes in, for example, last month, we want to get a notification of that, but also reach out to them, get a new price list and upload that directly into SAP. That's where the EMS comes in. So Celonis takes it a step further and actually helps us automate these kind of actions without human interference. Well, we start with the trigger. So, hey, a vendor that had more than 30 price changes in the last month. But then we take a look whether a vendor has an account manager or not. And when they don't, we actually automatically send them an email requesting a day-to-day or weekly price list. The moment we receive the price list, we download that and upload this automatically in SAP, making sure that we always have the up-to-date data into our IT system, and meaning that trio matches actually occur more often.
So what we've been seeing in this demo from the Celonis EMS is that you first of all can start with the insights, get a transparent overview of your process and actually see what's happening in reality. Moreover, you can analyze where there's a gap between how the process was actually designed and what's happening in reality. And on top of that, you can also see what those violations are. For example, in this case, we zoomed in on the change price activity. After we figured out what the violations are, through Celonis, we can also find the root causes of the problem and therefore immediately coming up with a solution as well on how to overcome this problem through the action flows. And the action flows is very important because that's what we nowadays deliver to all our customers. Instead of just getting a report with what's going wrong, the business case and how you can improve it, we actually immediately create value for our customers through setting up already some action flows to immediately save costs, save hours, so your employees can focus on more value creating activities for your organization. Well, I guess that was the end of the demo. Let's go. Whoop. So guys, that was the demo performed by my co-founder but also best friend Joost Herman. So Joost, thank you very much for showing everyone the basics of process mining and how you turn those insights into actions. I'd like to thank everyone coming today to our booth. And I want to emphasize, and I mentioned it before as well, that we're going to have 2 live sessions today, of which one is going to be an interview with a customer. So please don't forget to tune in. If you have any further questions or you want to ask us something, you can find all our contact details on this page. And for example, also if you want to show a demo to your colleagues, but you don't know how exactly to do it, Joost and I are more than happy to come by, or we can do it remotely and show your colleagues exactly the ins and outs of process mining. Once again, thank you so much for joining, and enjoy the Celonis World Tour, and hopefully we are going to see you in the future.
Thanks a lot.
Arrivederci.
Die is leuk.